The tragedy of the modern man is not that he lacks value, but that he lacks the vision to see when that value is being recognized. You walk through life conditioned to wait for a billboard, a verbal confession, or a sign so obvious that it cannot be ignored. Yet the language of desire is never spoken. It is leaked. Attraction, in its rawest and most primal form, is a terrifying vulnerability for a woman, and because of this, her conscious mind will often try to hide it. She will try to maintain her composure, her social mask, and her perceived indifference to protect her status and her heart. However, biology is a tyrant that does not obey social etiquette. When a woman is secretly attracted to you, her limbic system, the ancient emotional center of the brain, hijacks her facial muscles before her logic can intervene. This is where the high-value man operates, not in the loud conversations, but in the split-second betrayals of the body. If you cannot read these silences, you are leaving opportunities on the table and walking away from connections that were already yours for the taking. The pain of loneliness is often just the consequence of blindness. You must understand that when she looks at you, a war is happening between her instinct to pursue and her instinct to protect herself, and that war leaves shrapnel all over her face. To understand these expressions, you must first strip away the Hollywood idea of romance and look at the evolutionary reality of survival. For thousands of years, a woman showing overt, aggressive interest in a male was dangerous. It risked social ostracization or rejection that could be fatal to her standing in the tribe. Therefore, the female mechanism of seduction evolved to be plausible deniability. She needs to signal you without officially signaling you. She needs to open the door just enough for you to walk through, but keep it closed enough that she can claim she never opened it at all if you are not bold enough to enter. This creates a state of tension that most men misinterpret as disinterest. When you feel that tension, that awkwardness in the air when you are near her, do not mistake it for rejection. That tension is the emotional weight of her suppressed attraction. A woman who feels nothing for you is comfortable, platonic, and easygoing because there are no stakes. But a woman who desires you is fighting her own biology, and that internal struggle manifests in micro-expressions that are rapid, involuntary, and impossible to fake. You are looking for the cracks in her armor, not the armor itself. The first and most profound signal of secret attraction is not what she does with her mouth, but the physiological expansion of the eyes, specifically, pupil dilation paired with the soft focus gaze. This is not something she controls. It is the autonomic nervous system responding to a stimulus it finds visually and chemically appealing. When you look at an object you dislike or fear, your pupils constrict to sharpen focus and block out excess light, preparing for a threat. But when a woman looks at a man who triggers her mating drive, her brain floods with dopamine and oxytocin, forcing the pupils to expand, to take in as much of you as possible. This is the biological equivalent of opening the aperture on a camera lens. It creates a look that is often described as doe-eyed or dreamy. In a dimly lit bar, this might be hard to see, but in normal lighting, if her eyes look like black pools threatening to swallow the iris, her body is screaming what her voice is afraid to say. This goes beyond simple eye contact. It is an absorption of your presence. A beta male looks at her eyes to see if she is looking at him. A high-value male looks into her pupils to see if she is biologically reacting to him. However, the soft focus is where the emotion truly lies. When a woman is strictly analyzing you for data, checking your shoes, your watch, or listening to your logic, her eyes are sharp and darting. That is the look of judgment. Attraction changes the muscle tension around the eyes. The orbicularis oculi muscles relax, the eyelids droop slightly, often called bedroom eyes, and her blinking rate may slow down significantly as she enters a trance-like state while listening to you. This is the look of a woman who has stopped analyzing you as a threat or a friend and has begun experiencing you as a man. It is a look of surrender. If you catch her looking at you with this soft, dilated gaze, and then she quickly snaps out of it and looks away the moment you catch her, that is the confirmation. The snap back to reality is her conscious mind realizing she was staring too openly. That moment of panic, where she looks down or away quickly, is the most honest confession she will ever give you. The high-value response is not to call it out, but to hold your frame, let a small smirk touch your lips, and continue the interaction knowing that you have already won the psychological ground. Moving deeper into the architecture of facial communication, we encounter the eyebrow flash, a signal so rapid and primal that it often bypasses the conscious awareness of both the sender and the receiver. In the animal kingdom, and indeed across all human cultures, raising the eyebrows is a universal sign of openness and recognition. It lifts the upper facial muscles to allow more light into the eyes, signaling curiosity and a lack of aggression. However, in the context of high-stakes attraction, the eyebrow flash takes on a far more specific and potent meaning. When a woman first makes eye contact with a man she perceives as a potential mate, someone who triggers that high-value assessment in her subconscious, her eyebrows will essentially jump for a fraction of a second. This is the biological green light. It is her brain's way of saying, "I recognize you as significant." If you are walking into a room or approaching a venue and you catch a woman glancing at you with this rapid lift followed immediately by a slight widening of the eyes, she has already pre-selected you. The tragedy is that most men are looking for prolonged stares, not realizing that the initial spark happened in that microsecond flash. If you missed it, you missed the invitation to approach. The high-value man is observant enough to catch this flicker. He understands that this is not just a greeting. It is a momentary breach in her defense system that reveals she is receptive to his presence before she has time to put her guard back up. But the nuance goes deeper than just a greeting. You must observe how the eyebrows behave during interaction. If you are speaking to her and her eyebrows remain flat or furrowed, she is critical or indifferent. But if she is secretly attracted to you, you will notice the sympathetic lift. As you speak, particularly when you are recounting a story or expressing an opinion, her eyebrows will remain slightly elevated. This creates an expression of vulnerability and submission. In evolutionary terms, a lowered brow is a sign of dominance, anger, or deep concentration, traits associated with masculinity and combat. By keeping her brows lifted and open, she is subconsciously signaling that she is not a threat to you, and more importantly, that she is fascinated by your authority. She is infantilizing her own features slightly to trigger your protective instincts. This is not a manipulation she is planning. It is a reaction to your frame. If you are holding space as a masculine man, her face will naturally soften into this open, receptive state. Watch for the combination of the eyebrow flash, followed by a downward tilt of the chin. This specific cluster, brows up, chin down, is the universal look of the coquette. It forces her to look up at you through her lashes, simulating a height difference and reinforcing the psychological hierarchy where you are the leader and she is the follower. Following the eyes, we must analyze the most misunderstood curve on the human body, the mouth. Conventional dating advice will tell you to look for a smile, but a high-value man knows that a full, wide smile is often social camouflage. A woman can smile politely at a waiter, a boss, or a man she has zero romantic interest in. The true indicator of secret, burning attraction is not the smile itself, but the suppressed smile. This occurs when the rush of positive emotion she feels in your presence is so strong that she feels the need to contain it to maintain her dignity. You will see her lips pressed together tight, the corners of her mouth twitching upward against her will. She might bite her lower lip or look down while smiling. This is the facial expression of a woman who is losing the game of indifference. Her internal state is joyous and excited. Her limbic system is screaming yes, but her prefrontal cortex is whispering, "Don't let him see how much you like him." This internal conflict creates the suppressed smile. It is the leak of desire. When you see a woman doing this, she is essentially trying to stuff her feelings back inside because she is intimidated by your value. She fears that if she smiles too broadly, she will look desperate or easy. This suppression mechanism is a gold mine for the perceptive man because it reveals a shift in the power dynamic. If she feels comfortable laughing loudly and slapping your back like one of the guys, you are in the friend zone. There is no tension there, but the suppressed smile is born of tension. It is born of the fear of exposure. Watch for the specific micro-expression known as the lip tuck. After you say something charming or hold strong eye contact, observe if she rolls her lips inward for a second. This is a self-soothing gesture. The lips are highly vascular and sensitive, Compressing them provides a chemical release of stress. Why is she stressed? Because a high-value man makes a woman nervous in the best possible way. That nervousness is the adrenaline of attraction. If she is biting her lip, hiding her smile behind a drink, or turning her face away while grinning, she is trying to hide the fact that you have affected her emotionally. Do not alleviate this tension for her. Let her sit in it. Let her wonder if you noticed. The man who sees the suppressed smile and remains cool and collected demonstrates that he is used to having this effect on women, which only amplifies her attraction further. We now transition from the expressions of the eyes and mouth to the expressions of self-consciousness, specifically manifested through the preening reflex. Attraction is, by its very nature, a destabilizing force. When a woman is in the presence of a low-value male or a man she views purely as a friend, she is static. She is comfortable with her appearance because she feels no need to impress. Her survival and reproductive future are not on the line. However, the moment she perceives high value, the moment she feels attracted, her brain triggers a status check. She suddenly becomes hyper-aware of her own presentation. You will see this play out on her face and the frame surrounding it. The most common signal is the hair tuck or neck exposure. She will reach up and smooth her hair, tuck it behind her ear, or adjust a necklace. While these seem like fidgeting, they serve a dual evolutionary purpose. First, she is grooming herself to ensure she is visually flawless for the mate she desires. Second, and more critically, the act of tucking hair behind the ear exposes the neck. In primate body language, exposing the neck, specifically the jugular vein, is an ultimate sign of vulnerability and submission. It is a non-verbal way of saying, "I trust you not to hurt me," which in the game of seduction translates to, "I am open to your dominance." If you are talking to her and she tilts her head slightly to the side while smoothing her hair away from her face, she is subconsciously inviting you closer. She is clearing the visual obstruction between you and her. A woman who is closed off will use her hair as a curtain to hide behind. A woman who is attracted wants the barrier removed. Pay close attention to the speed of these movements. If they are sharp and jerky, she is nervous, which is good. It means your presence has disrupted her baseline. If the movements are slow and deliberate, she is likely more experienced and is consciously signaling you. In either case, the high-value male does not acknowledge the fidgeting. He understands that her sudden concern with her appearance is the direct result of his scrutiny. The fifth expression is perhaps the most raw and physiological of them all, the parting of the lips and the wet mouth. This is biology in its most unrefined state. When a human being experiences sexual excitement or intense attraction, the sympathetic nervous system kicks into high gear. Heart rate increases, blood pressure rises, and the body demands more oxygen to prepare for the physical interaction that the subconscious is anticipating. As a result, it becomes difficult to breathe solely through the nose. You will notice her lips part slightly, not in a smile, but in a relaxed, open slackness. This is the breath of desire. It is a heavy, audible exhale, or a simple parting of the lips to facilitate deeper breathing. If you catch her looking at your lips while her own lips are slightly parted, the signal is unambiguous. She is simulating the act of intimacy before it happens. Furthermore, you must look for the tongue sweep. Adrenaline, which floods the system during attraction, has a side effect. It dries out the mucous membranes, including the mouth. Consequently, a woman who is secretly attracted to you will find her lips going dry. She will instinctively lick her lips or sweep her tongue across her teeth to re-moisten them. This is distinct from the intentional performative lip biting you see in movies. This is a rapid, reactive movement. She might sip her drink frequently, not because she is thirsty, but to cool down the system and hide the tension. If you see the combination of the parted mouth and the tongue sweep, understand that her body is in a state of high arousal. She is literally preparing her mouth for yours. The vast majority of men are too busy talking about themselves to notice this. They are focused on the conversation topic, while the real conversation is happening in the silence of her breathing. When you see the lips part, you should slow your own speech down, lower your volume, match the intensity of the moment. By slowing down, you give her the space to feel that tension, reinforcing the magnetic pull between you. The final and most definitive facial expression in the hierarchy of attraction is the triangular gaze. To understand this, you must understand the geometry of social interaction. When we speak to someone in a professional or platonic capacity, a boss, a colleague, or a friend, our eyes typically oscillate between their two eyes and the center of their forehead. This is the power gaze. It creates a triangle that points upward. It is non-sexual and authoritative. However, when a woman is attracted to you, her gaze pattern shifts downward. She will look at your left eye, then your right eye, and then her eyes will drop to your mouth before returning to your eyes. This creates an inverted triangle. This is not accidental. It is the visual trajectory of desire. By glancing at your mouth, she is subconsciously fixating on the point of physical contact. She is visualizing the kiss. This often happens while you are speaking. If you notice her eyes dipping down to your lips repeatedly while you are explaining a concept or telling a story, she is no longer listening to your words. She is watching the movement of your mouth. This gaze is the ultimate tell because it breaks the social contract of polite conversation. In a normal social setting, staring at someone's mouth is considered intrusive or distracting. Therefore, if she is doing it, her impulse to connect with you physically has overridden her social training. It is important to note the duration. A quick glance might be checking if you have food in your teeth, but a lingering, repeated drop to the mouth is the triangle gaze. Often this is accompanied by the chin cant, where she tilts her head to expose the neck, as discussed earlier. When you see the triangle gaze, the window of opportunity is wide open. She is waiting for you to bridge the gap. If you continue to talk about platonic subjects while she is giving you this look, you demonstrate a lack of social intelligence. The high-value male recognizes this shift and adjusts his behavior immediately. He slows down, he introduces silence, and he prepares to escalate the interaction. Now that you possess the roadmap to her hidden desires, we must address the psychology of application. Knowing these signs is useless if you react to them like a starving man finding a crumb of bread. The defining characteristic of the high-value male is not just the ability to read these signals, but the discipline to not overreact to them. When you spot the dilated pupils, the suppressed smile, or the triangle gaze, you must never verbally point them out. You do not say, "I see you looking at my lips," or "Why are you nervous?" To verbalize the tension is to destroy it. It bursts the bubble of plausible deniability that she needs to feel safe. Instead, you must use this information to fuel your internal confidence. The knowledge that she is attracted to you should allow you to relax your posture, hold your eye contact longer, and speak with the absolute certainty of a man who knows he is wanted. You must understand that attraction is a shadow game. It thrives in the unspoken. By reading her face, you are reading her mind. This gives you the upper hand. If she is giving you these signs but playing hard to get verbally, you can ignore her words and trust her biology. Her words are her defense mechanism. Her face is her reality. The high-value male operates based on reality. If she is nervous, preening, and giving you the triangle gaze, you do not need to ask for permission to flirt. You simply assume the role of the lover. You lead. You move the interaction forward. The tragedy of the modern male is that he waits for a woman to explicitly tell him, "I like you." But by the time she says that, the attraction has often already faded because he failed to act on the subtle cues. Ultimately, mastering these facial expressions is about mastering your own reality. When you walk into a room, you are not scanning for validation. You are scanning for opportunity. You are the observer, not the supplicant. When you see the betrayal of her eyes, the flush of her skin, or the suppression of her smile, you are witnessing the effect of your own value. Do not let these moments pass. The world is full of men who are blind to the desires directed at them. Do not be one of them. See the signs, trust your instincts, and when the eyes drop to the mouth, stop talking and make your move.